It's true. We are live here with Coffee with Humans with my new friend, Chris Wilcox. Chris, welcome to Coffee with
Yay!
Humans.
Yes, I'm so pumped to be here.
Woo! To have you. This is great.
Yeah,
I we you asked me before the broadcast where I was from, and
yeah,
I said I was outside Chicago, but tell us uh, tell us where you're from, so our viewers and listeners know.
yeah, absolutely. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. So
Nashville.
yeah, man, it's been quite the ride this year for us.
Yeah. Characterize that. What's that mean
Well, I
to
mean,
you?
obviously there's obviously what everybody's experienced, right, with COVID, and then
Yeah.
uh, God, it feels like 5 years ago, but it was really we just crossed the year threshold for this. Uh, so I don't know about you guys. I mean, you guys get some pretty wicked storms up in that area. I know for
We
sure.
do.
And we normally get about two or three significant storms, and usually a few of those will come with tornado warnings. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, obviously, when the tornado sirens go off, you pay attention. But I've gotten so used to them that I hear it and I kind of tune in for a second. I try to like pay attention to the thunder and some of the cues and think, okay, how serious is this? And then usually 9 out of 10 times it's gonna just pass 5 miles from us, left, right, north or south. So this time the sirens go off and I kind of had the same reaction. I didn't think much of it. I was at midnight. I was almost gonna go back to bed. And I thought, you know what? Just in case, I'm gonna go get the girls, my wife and my two daughters, and we'll hang out in the stairs. So I woke everybody up. We huddled in the stairs, and everything passed. Like it was nothing to fuss about. And then we kind of all the girls were freaked out by this point, so they came. Everybody piled in our bed. And we're about to go back to sleep, and I walk into our restroom for a second, and it was so weird because it had been windy, and I just remember it got super quiet. And I was so
Oh,
quiet that I was like, wow, this is weird. This is so weird. And I stood still for a second, and then you could hear the wind pick up. And I didn't think much of it at first, but then you ever have that intuition? The hair on the back of my neck stood up, and I was like, whoa, okay, all right. So I walked out, and it had been black, right? Just dark night sky. And I looked out our window, and as soon as I peeked out, I mean, everything's gusting and the wind is gray and going straight line. And
oh man.
it was at that moment I looked back at my wife and I was like, run. I was like, so all the girls jumped out of bed, ran back into our space, and within like maybe 10-15 seconds, quiet. And I kept thinking, I was so ready to look outside our door and think there's got to be downed trees, there's got to be damage. I looked at our window and there was nothing, no damage whatsoever. And so we go back to bed, and my wife, I couldn't sleep, and we start getting these alerts on our phone about all
Oh,
this damage that happened maybe a mile from us. So I don't know if you saw it on national news, but that tornado that went through Nashville,
yeah.
uh, was a mile from our house.
Oh man.
It ran right up one of the main arteries in East Nashville, and so and it's right across the street from us in Germantown. So anyway, we got hit by a tornado. We're still recovering from that. You can still see the damage from it. And then Christmas, we all wake up at 6:30 in the morning. Everybody's pumped about Christmas. I just sat up out of bed. Just sat up. I was barely opening my eyes. And we hear this like dude, like this massive explosion that shook our house. Stuff fell off the wall.
What?
It felt like a bomb went off. And I remember looking at my wife. It's like it was 6:30 in the morning, and I was like, "What in the world? It's Christmas. Like, there's no construction happening. Nobody's doing any
Yeah.
demolition." And like, no kidding, it was like you know how like there's Ring or Nextdoor, all these different apps, like they starts,
Yeah.
no kidding, just ringing off the hook, ding 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 ding, people pinging like, what is this? And then lo and behold, you saw it on national news. We had a guy set up a bomb, and we're close to Nashville, so they set up a bomb 5 miles from our house.
Wow. That is crazy.
So yeah, it's been a wild year, man.
Yeah. Well, it has been a wild year in a lot of different ways. Certainly for you close to home and globally.
Yeah.
That's Man, that's crazy. So how are you dealing with all that stuff now? I mean, some of the stuff is kind of blown over in some ways, but is there still like a palpable feeling of angst around your home?
No, I tell you, man, the mood around here is actually pretty optimistic. I mean,
Okay,
you can tell that Nashville within the last 5 weeks has come back online. I mean, there's so
really?
much. Oh man, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's probably felt similar to where you guys are, but like for us, the world has come back online in the last
Hmm.
5, 6 weeks. It's we're hearing about massive investments coming in this way, and I mean, I'm sure the real estate market's got to be crazy where you guys are too, but it's wild here. You can't find houses. I mean,
Yeah,
they're gone before you can even be interested in them. So there's a lot of good things happening. It's I'm kind of curious to see where things go, just given how hot the economy is. It's good, and
yeah,
it's got some questions baked into it.
yeah. A lot of questions baked into it, and a lot of, I think, um, a lot of pendulum effect, probably, right? So we've gone from complete shutdown to a feeling like, like you talked about, things are coming back online, but there's been a lot of investment from the government,
Yeah.
and that'll catch up to us at some point in time. There's nothing free in life,
Nope.
and we will discover that shortly.
It's unsettling, and it's weird because it is a hot topic. It's like these days you have to like temper how far you get because everyone's got an opinion.
Right?
I will say when the stimulus came our way, I remember looking at my wife thinking, "Man, this just feels slimy." And I don't mean that to throw shade on, but it did kind of feel a little uncomfortable to say,
Hmm.
because you're right, because you're thinking like, yeah, okay, great, it's gonna, it's sure it's money, but you're like, you're right, there is no such thing as free, and then you kind of ask yourself, okay, well, I will pay this back. How?
Oh
And
yeah,
that's the question.
that's totally true. Yeah, it's not free money.
No,
We
no.
just kick the can down the road.
Yeah, and it's a
Well,
big can.
it is. Yeah, it's a very big can. So you've got kind of a podcast set up there, it looks like.
Oh, yes,
So
so this mic
clue me in, man. What's going on?
yeah, so this microphone, this is the first official time so you asked me before the broadcast about why I wanted to do this. Well, number 1, I have discovered, yeah, I miss people, man. Like, I just miss people. I miss having human conversations. I miss talking about dumb stuff. The friends I've been able to connect with, I was just like, man, it's just so good to not talk about politics and not talk about the obvious stuff that's occupied, our conversation for so long. It's just, you just kind of want to remind yourself what life used to look like. And it was so with spring, man, this spring it feels like a literal rebirth. I mean, you
Hmm.
see all the trees and the flowers, and you're like, oh my gosh, a second chance at life. And it's only been a year.
Yes, it's true. I just took a walk outside, down a bike path. Beautiful day for a walk, and I've got that background, that is actually from last fall, here on the screen, or last summer, maybe. I think it might have been last fall. And like you talked about, the seasons are there to remind us, that things,
Oh yeah.
there is new life. And I agree with you. It is that kind of, that we've been held up inside for so long, and have sort of been indoctrinated into the normal is we talk about COVID all the time, and
Yeah.
now we talk about stimulus packages all the time. And then once you get out now in spring, it's just like, oh my gosh, there's a whole world of things that we've been,
Oh,
sequestered away from. And
oh
and
yeah.
and to your point, yeah, this idea that, when's the last time you just went out with people? And I admittedly have been, going out with people for a long time, uh,
And
because there's varying degrees to what people did with COVID,
yeah,
in terms of being locked away.
I mean, I most certainly had my share. I'm probably not in different places with COVID. I've had multiple friends who've gotten it. I've
Mhm.
only had one friend that had, and yeah, here we are talking about it, right?
Damn it.
I know. I had one friend that got it, and he had it bad. And then every
Mm.
other friend that I had was, I would text and I'm like, hey, what's it like? And they're like, yeah, I've had way worse. And you're just like, okay, well, I mean, I didn't sweat getting it, but I was probably always more concerned about my parents. And, because look, let's be honest. I mean, if you're over 60 and you get any illness, forget COVID. I mean, you got to sweat it a little bit more than most of us do, because,
Sure.
I mean, it's just, you do. So yeah, I decided, for the sake of my kids, because we had kids at home all
Mm.
year, and it
How old are the
was
kids?
5 and 10,
Oh, okay.
and no, they're great. They did
Yeah.
fine, but it was like, I don't worry about COVID, but the hardest part about it was like, okay, if I get this, then
Hmm.
it actually has, like, my kids have to stay home for weeks. You have to go through
Yep.
all this crazy stuff until you're actually over it. And then you're stigmatized because then you're the guy who got COVID. And so it was almost more of a headache. I didn't actually fear getting it. It was just the headache of actually getting it that was going to be the problem.
Yeah.
So were
Yeah.
you
I got
lucky
it
enough?
last October or something like that. Maybe it was November. I can't remember, somewhere around there. And it was rough.
Oh,
It was
really?
rough for a short period of time. And then, it was like a really bad flu, but I got a fever up to 104 one night.
Woo.
But it's a little bit of my own fault because I decided I was going to let my body fight it off normally, like with my natural, control. So I
Ah.
didn't take any ibuprofen. That day I didn't take ibuprofen or anything like that. I was going to be a hero.
Oh, dude.
Uh, and, and it was kind of an experiment because, fevers are there for a reason. It is part of the body's natural defenses. I thought, okay, I'll just let my body go here. And it was a nighttime. I remember waking up something like 2 or 3 a.m. and I was in sweatpants, a sweatshirt, hood over my head, 2 blankets, and I was comfortable. And I'm a hot sleeper. And I was like, oh no, I'm comfortable, so packaged up that I must have a crazy fever. And so I had brought the thermometer close to my bed. So I put the thermometer in. I was 104. And I was like, oh, that's why. And so so I thought,
Jeez.
well, I'm going to go back to bed. I'm going to go back to sleep and I'll either be dead in the morning or, oh, or this is going to blow over. And sure enough, it blew over. But like I was destroyed. Like my body was just not, it was not happy at
What
all
was
that
the
I let that happen.
what was the hardest part about it? Like, what did you feel like was the hardest part?
The hardest part was not necessarily the fever. Like I can deal with a fever and 104. Okay. I'm a 43-year-old man, 104 degrees, pretty hot. But
That's
it
that's,
was for a
that's
short period of time. And I could have taken something to bring it down and I would have been better. But the fever, the hardest part was I was so tired. I would lay on the couch and there was like a, glass of water or something. And I'd be like, I'm going to reach. No, I'm not. It's not worth it. I'm going to lay down.
it's too
We,
far. It's too far.
it was, and I've done CrossFit for many years and we have these things called hero wads, these workouts, which could last 30 minutes, could be an hour. And your body is just destroyed after that. You're just like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. You're just like, pickups. And that was every day for me for probably 2 weeks. I was just like, man, I just ache, so tired. That was actually the worst part of it. And then I had this weird cough that like 2 or 3 weeks into it, just like came out of nowhere. And I was like, and then a month later, that just sort of tapered off and it was gone.
So what do you
But
say to all the people that are kind of like, okay, because I mean, in fairness, right? So I never had it.
you know,
I got the
that you know of,
vaccination. Fair. No, all right. Well, okay. No, you bring it up.
there are a good number of studies that indicate that 10 to 20% of cases are symptomatic.
So ironically, all right. So in March of last year, this is the last time I remember having a fever.
Okay.
It was like 100.4, and it felt like a cold. And I was with
Mhm.
some friends in a cabin, and I felt terrible for them because I was like, no kidding, this just feels like allergies. It's springtime, it just feels like allergies. And I was fine. I mean, I took I took some like ibuprofen because I'm a wuss in that regard, and I mean, I mean, it passed. But they ended up
Yeah.
getting sick after we
Mhm.
left because we were in the same cabin, and then they would tell me afterwards, like, yeah, we've had problems breathing, and I was like, well, because I no kidding, I thought I had it, so I came back
Yeah.
to Nashville and I got tested. I got
Mhm.
tested early when they had that massive long Q-tip that they jabbed all the way back to your
Mhm.
like back here to your neck.
Yep.
Brought a single tear to your eye as they did it, and I was negative. And so I like they tell me like, yeah, we're struggling breathing, and I was like, well, I don't know what to tell you, dog. Like I didn't have it, so either they lied or it's fake or I had it. I don't know, but that was the only time I ever got sick, and the only other time I've had symptoms is a few days ago when I got vaccinated. Ironically enough.
Yeah. Or the type of test that you had wasn't detecting in the time frame. I've got a friend. This is a friend of a friend, but there was a work setting, and they were cleaning some stuff up, and there was bleach out, and this one guy could not smell the bleach, and everybody else is like, "Oh my gosh, we got to like this. This is just terrible." And he's like, "I don't smell it," and like, "Really, you don't smell it?" And put his nose up to the bleach, couldn't smell it, and that was the only symptom he had. And then they said, "You probably have COVID." And so he went and got tested. Sure enough, he had COVID. But that was the only thing he would have never known if he wasn't just standing there with somebody else who was like, "That's bleach," and he's like, "I
You
don't
had it.
smell it."
You had it right up to his nose. He couldn't smell it.
Couldn't smell it.
Hard to call. Hard to call BS on that one. That's an
Yep.
intense.
Yeah, but that was the only symptom he had, and he was at work the whole time. And
Wow,
then they sent him off, and he got tested, and he had COVID.
that's
There, I
so
mean,
wild.
that's the variance that I think people are worried about, or scientists are worried about. That there's a range of symptoms that are just it doesn't present like a traditional cold or traditional flu. But
I mean, it's clearly not fake. Because we all know
no,
someone that we trust that's had it.
no, it's
So
not fake. But what we this will be like many things. A We've had a global reaction to this pandemic, and the truth will be found out in 30 years. That's what'll
yeah,
happen.
yeah.
Somebody will study this stuff. I mean, vaccines are coming out and all this other stuff, which is great. Do your thing. But this is back to the previous point. Like nothing's free. All the the law of unintended consequences is always at play, and so you have a global reaction to this stuff. There is the law of unintended consequences. The question will be what are those consequences, and you never know in the moment. Um, I mean, one of the examples I've used, and I don't want to spend the whole time on COVID, but one of the examples I've used is that one of the most documented, um, a well documented thing that you shouldn't do is breathe in aerosolized cleaning agents. It's well documented, and yet we have flooded auditoriums and schools and
Wow,
homes with aerosolized cleaning agents.
that's a solid point.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I
And then only to find out that it doesn't live on surfaces. Oh shoot. Who would have thought? So
it
so
it is.
we had a pendulum reaction to a thing that we actually know is not good for us at all, to only to find out it was probably unnecessary. And that's where we'll find it out in 20 or 30 years. It'll be fine. Somebody else will look back on it, but we won't find it out now because there's too many people who are invested in the current momentum.
Oh
And
yeah.
we don't even agree to definitions sometimes on what a mask is. I mean, it's I was out to dinner. It was several weeks ago, standing outside at a restaurant, winds blowing, and I was queued up in line, and she's like, "I can't take you to your seat because you don't have a mask." So I went like this with my sweatshirt, and she's like, "No, that's not a mask." And I was like, "Pretty sure it says facial covering," but I didn't make a deal. I was okay, that's fine. She said, "We'll go get you a mask." Well, they couldn't find a mask. Then she's just like, just go sit down. Okay. So then I had to go to the restroom later on, right? It's a restaurant. So I took their napkin and tied it around my face like a bandana. And she's like, "Go ahead." I was like, I don't think we know what a facial covering is. Like, I just used your napkin to
Yeah,
go to the restroom. You weren't even going to seat me without a mask. It's like, okay, fine, do your thing. We'll figure out we'll figure out something. Somebody will study this, and there'll be conspiracy theorists and all sorts of stuff. I mean, it's a global reaction, and we were wrong in some way, to some degree. We just don't know how we were wrong and to what degree.
I will tell you, like, and I share your desire not to spend our whole time on COVID, but I'll say this: like, there were two things that, number one, I've had a couple different conversations on the vaccine itself. You know, I'm not a scientist, and I'm just a layman who has to make choices like everybody else. But my thought was this: they have to get this right with the vaccine to the degree that they can. Obviously, we're in real time, so we don't know long-term impacts of the vaccine, but we have an incredible ethical responsibility to get this right. Otherwise, good luck ever doing this again. Like, God forbid there's ever any other pandemic. If we end up with like 5-10 years down the road and studies come out about the vaccine and we got all sorts of crazy stuff happening, good luck ever doing this again. It'll call into question the entire scientific approach.
Well, and that's where I don't know if I'm a pessimist or a realist, but we can almost be guaranteed that some of the information that we get is not correct, because people have a vested interest in keeping their jobs. That is the absolute. Think of most folks. The first question of why they do or don't do something is, will I lose my job over this? Now, from there, we try and figure out what can or cannot do so I don't lose my job. And if you take people in power, wrap a political ball around this thing, no one wants to say, oh, shoot, we were totally wrong on that. Because there's going to be daggers from somebody else going, look at those guys, they were so wrong. Don't believe that people have the global best interest in mind as a group. Yeah, that's not true. There are people who do, but it'll get covered up in some way so that we are duped into something that is not true. And this has been proven time and time and time again throughout history. Think of like sugar versus fat. Years ago, it turned out that they demonized fat as the thing that would lead to like heart disease and all sorts of stuff. Turns out it's actually sugars. Like, you shouldn't be eating all these refined sugars and carbohydrates and all sorts of stuff. The only reason that got pushed through, and this is well documented, the only reason that got pushed through is there's no fat lobby. There is a sugar lobby. And
is there really a sugar lobby?
Oh yeah, there are people who manufacture sugar and want you to consume it.
I haven't thought about that on an industrial level though, but it's interesting.
Absolutely. There are people who manufacture products that are full of sugar, and they lobby our government, and our government are just made up of people. Many of them, I'm sure, well-meaning, and some of them just want to stay in power. Okay, fine, but they are ignorant in some way, and they're just being educated by someone. And so a sugar lobby goes to your government and says, "Hey, you know what? It's actually the fat. Sugar's not the issue. Look at these studies that we've funded that say that sugar's not the issue." And you know who never comes forward? There's no like global, like, you should eat fat. There's no global fat lobby. There's no money behind it. But there is money behind sugar. And so what happened back in, I think it was the 80s, whatever, the sugar lobby came forward and there's like, fat's the problem. Oh, actually, no. Now we've actually discovered that's actually sugar. You shouldn't be having that much sugar. Only the American Heart Association has told you that for years and years and years, that you probably shouldn't consume more than 25 grams of refined sugars in a day. You cannot have a can of Coke without breaking that rule.
Oh, this is such a good pivot. I'm so glad you took this pivot. Yeah. So my favorite case study with this is milk. So now talk about who has a lobby. The dairy industry has a lobby. Yeah. And I'll tell you, man, when I got free of dairy, no kidding, changed my life. I do not get sick hardly ever. And do I put how much of that do I put at the doorstep of dairy? Not all of it, right? Not really, maybe not even that much, frankly, 10%, 15%. But I can tell you, as much as I truly miss cheese, oh God, I miss cheese so much. And carbs too. I miss carbs like the desert misses the rain. But I got free of it and it changed my life. I stopped. For the most part, I don't get sore throats. I don't get nasal allergies. Hardly. Now, I mean, am I the average? I don't know, but I can tell you from my personally, that was a massive change. And have you watched? What is it? Forks Over Knives.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. So that messed me up. Oh man, dude, you're right on. I mean, oh, we could go on a whole another.
The more money or power, this is proportional, and I believe this to be true. If I have no power to gain and I have no money to gain, I am more believable than if I have power and money to gain, right? So I have if what I'm telling you leads me to more power and more money, everyone should question it. Just be a little advised, right?
I agree.
And so
100%.
And I think what we find is that misuse of information goes up. It is proportional to the amount of power and money involved in it. And that's where unfortunately, we I mean, to our credit, we have a system that we are forced to argue things out, to come up with laws to steer the direction of the ship. But beware, because where power and money reside, misinformation resides as well.
Well, and there's always the looming question of what is true. And where does truth come from? Like who's telling the truth? And man, oh man, that question. Like every time you ever get in a conversation, right? There's no shortage of opinions. Everyone's got an opinion, right? But then you start peeling the onion back. You're like, okay, you probably just assumed that was your opinion, but it wasn't. You have all these different inputs. Where are you getting your inputs from? Where are the sources? How credible are the sources? And then you kind of like my background is in marketing, and so like the perpetuation. I'm sure yours is too. I read up, and it's like the perpetuation of how our networks are meant to feed us what we want it to. So we're just like we're validated over and over, like, oh my gosh, my opinions are true. And you're like, well, no.
If you're in marketing, you know that you are paid. You make money to sway people's opinions. And if you disturbing. Don't sway people's opinions, you don't make money. And so back to this idea of if my goal, if even subconsciously my goal is to keep my job, then I'm going to do something at some point in time to keep my job. And if my job is sway your opinion, you should question it. Just question it a little bit, look a little deeper. And most people don't decide to look a little deeper. It's like we do this in our friendship circles where it's like, oh, did you hear what they did? And you're like, oh my gosh, they did that. And you just take it as you totally take it at face value.
Yep.
How dreadful. How do you know that information is true? Go back to the source. Who goes back to the source? Nearly no one.
My daughter, we had a good case this the other day. My daughter came home and she's like, so-and-so stole something. And I was like, how do you know? And she's like, well, so-and-so told me. I was like, did you see it? She's like, no. So you didn't see what was stolen. You just were told. And we had this teachable moment where I was like, don't ever do that.
Yeah.
Because to accuse someone of stealing is major. Like there's reputation damage there right off the bat. You can't just undo that. And so we had this teachable moment of like, just because someone says it doesn't mean it's true. And I have a good friend who he always calls me out. He's like, everything's an idea. Or, like you hear all these different opinions and thoughts. It's an idea that started somewhere. It doesn't make it true. But again, I come back to that whole concept of what is true.
Well, there's facts, right? So there's facts, which I could be wrong about. if I believe some sort of facts just secondhandedly, or we believe facts from the news or wherever,
Yeah.
we don't really investigate any further. We're not that closely tied to it. And sometimes we're just flat out lied to, like, in the 80s or whenever it was, when sugar supposedly wasn't a problem. Eat as much sugar as you want. Oh, 30 years later, it's like, don't eat so much sugar. Like, okay. Oops.
Imagine how awesome that was, though. When, like, what is it? Ignorance is bliss. Oh man, I would
we are so ignorant. So we got facts, right? We got facts, and our human ignorance has been proven for thousands of years.
Oh yeah.
So don't like, even us sitting on here. It's like, I'm wrong about something to some extent, and I'm so ignorant I don't even know what it is. And I believe it fully. So we have facts, which could be wrong, and then we as humans infer intent off of it, which is which even is more damaging. Oh, she stole it. You know why she stole it? Here's why she stole it. Right? It's like, you have no idea. You don't know me. You don't like it maybe or did or didn't happen, and you have no idea why it actually occurred, because we are unwilling to go a little step further. And we've had presidents die over stupidity, right? So George Washington, the poor sucker died because he had a cold. He most likely had a cold. He ended up with a cough because he was out in the rain and all sorts of stuff, and it's cold and whatnot. He ended up with an upper respiratory infection type thing. And so one of the treatments for the day was that you had to rid the body of stuff. And so they started bleeding him out.
Ooh.
Yeah, totally. And that didn't work. And so they bled him more. He died actually because they took something like half his blood out, which you can't do when the body's trying to recover from an upper respiratory infection.
Or
Folks,
in general.
This was not even 300 years ago. We've been around for thousands of years. Don't believe that somehow we've figured out that that we've got it all together. We don't. We're stupid in some way, and we're screwing ourselves up now, and we'll find out later.
Okay. So I will frame this in a non-COVID context, but just know that it's somewhat related. When it all hit, it was this incredibly humbling reminder that, oh my gosh, America is not as smart as we thought we were. It was like, oh my god,
we're just people.
We're just like, I remember thinking like, oh man, like everybody has us on this pedestal. Like, no, don't look. Hey man, China may have screwed this up, but America's got it. It's fine. And then like a few months in, you're like, oh no, whoa, America's like way worse. It was just, I just remember thinking, where are all the adults? Like
the information, the misinformation is off the charts. I'm going to circle this back around to the topic that
please
we talk about, which is finding out what we're capable of.
Yes.
And so I think I'm gonna take a stab at the dark here and say that one of the things of finding out what we're capable of is understanding that we are ignorant in some way, to some extent, and we don't know what that is. We are wrong today in the moment about something that we believe strongly, and we are absolutely wrong. Yes. And someone else will find out later on. We've proven this over and over and over again throughout history, and we as people are no different. So to come into what we're capable of, I think begins with the notion of, I need to have a curiosity and an acceptance that I might be wrong in the present moment.
Yes, that's a great word to describe it. Right. So I'll add a thought to that, which was this realization, and I credit multiple friends and books for this, but it was this realization that I don't see, and it's like I see, but that I don't truly see. Like there's reality as I perceive it, but is that reality? And that's at a macro level. When I say finding out what you're truly capable of, I have this internal drive that makes me ask myself, did I leave it on the field? Like, did I leave anything undiscovered? Is there any limiting belief that is holding me back? And frankly, the truth is yes, all the time. So this daily grit thing that we started, that I did. So I'll give you the backstory. You could put it in the category of a planner, but really the reason I did it was because I was using technology like we all use. And I was using it for planning. I was using it for a lot of the things that most people use it for. But what I realized is that all my meaningful goals, everything that I was seeking to kind of move the ball forward and hit goals, I was just very disconnected from um from like when I would put it in my phone, I would just be there was no let me say this, there was no cost to not do it. I felt nothing whenever I would blow past a goal, anything I put in there. There's so many apps. You would think I should be able to own my life. Like I should be killing it in every category of my life because there's an app for everything. And I just realized it's like, no, it's not actually happening. Matter of fact, I kind of started to get into a little bit of I don't like technology and I'd still use it, but don't hear me. So like I ended up having this desire. It's like, I'm going to go back to writing, which is weird. I'm going to go back to actually writing stuff down. And because I found that there is actually a connection to me writing something. And this isn't uncommon knowledge. We all know that there's power in writing something down and accomplishing it. There's a connection. So I ended up going back to a tool and I used it as a brand I loved, and I started actually just writing out my plan again. It was a very simple thing, and I could have made it complicated. There was plenty of tools to do that, but I just needed something really simple, something that didn't have a lot of things to fill out. I just needed a little task list, and I just wanted to know when I got to Friday, did I actually move the needle? Not was I busy, just did I actually get from A to B? And I didn't have a way to do that. And so I'm a designer. I work in the creative field, and I thought, well, shoot, I'll create one. I remember having a friend that sat next to me at the office we worked at, and I was like, hey, let's just do this. Like, we're both in branding. We work in branding. But the thing is, like, I had never built a brand from start to like selling. And I on the topic of finding out what you're capable of, I thought, I can't really afford to go hire all these things out. So it's like, I wonder how far I could take this. Just me and another guy. So we gave ourselves a challenge. I knew nothing about publishing, not a single thing. And we were sitting around the table, and I was like, hey, I know the problem I'm trying to solve. I don't know if other people have the problem, but I know that I want to find out every single week what I'm capable of. And I want to push it as hard as I possibly can. And I think a lot of people are in that place, especially post-COVID. And so we said, hey, let's call it Daily Grit, because frankly, that's what it took. And so we kind of designed this idea, and we branded it. We laid it out. I contracted with the manufacturer overseas, went through the arduous task of trying to get it made over there. And that's a long story in and of itself. And we ended up taking a brand from absolutely nothing to, we launched it in December, and we've sold over 100 of them just by itself. And this has been kind of an experiment where I found out, hey, I could actually publish a book by myself, or not by myself, but with another friend.
Yeah.
And so I've just been trying to take that concept of find out, hey, maybe I am capable of far more.
That's super cool. Well, and for our viewers and listeners who are just joining us, Coffee with Humans is a live streamed conversation between strangers who become friends. So I don't know actually anything about you. I mean, we're just discovering each other in this call. And so I didn't look up your website or anything like that. I purposefully do virtually no background checks. I mean, I don't know how you want to call it. That seems a little aggressive. but so I'm just discovering this whole thing, Daily Grit thing.
Yes.
I'm a geek about planners and stuff like that.
Oh man.
And I also am I'm one of those guys who I have certain things I like I have certain pens that I like, and so I don't accept other pens. It's just like, oh, that's nice, that's cool, that's a neat pen, I'll give it away to somebody. I have my own pens, I like them. And there's no great shakes. It's a Uniball 207, but or a Jetstream.
I need to go buy that actually.
It's great. I've tested them, right? So I mean, I love this concept. I think this is great. The challenge and I think I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. I was talking with a friend of mine years ago, and he was like, I gotta. We were talking about what he's getting done, and he's like, oh, I gotta get an app. I gotta get an app. Like I like need some system, like put all my stuff in there. I gotta put my to-dos in there.
Yep.
And I said, well, actually, I don't think you do. Here, let's put a big Post-it note on the wall, and we'll write all these things down.
Oh yeah.
Your top 10 list of things you needed to get done, right? And then the next week we went back to that list, and I was, what'd you get done? Nothing. And I was like, oh, so you don't need an app.
You need self-discipline.
And there are no apps which are going to help you with discipline.
Yeah.
Because there, and I can prove this because there have been disciplined people through the years before apps existed.
Yep.
And so discipline exists apart from apps. And so we are con ourselves into believing that somehow we need discipline we need an app to develop discipline. But what we really need is the stick-to-itiveness and habit building around some clarified goal. And I think that's what planners do. Yeah. Planners allow us to clarify our thoughts, and then it is internal, not even motivation, but it's an internal need to put in front of us the habit to go off and do the things that we have clarified. And those are two different things, right? And so I love the idea of journaling. I love the idea of clarifying goals and having a product like what you've got there, particularly for people who start dealing with a lot more, a lot of juggling of things, right?
I will tell you,
super important.
You strike me as a bit of a creative mind as well. So I'll get vulnerable here for a second. I started peeling back why I did this, because there's the capability side where you're like, hey, I've got a big mountain I want to climb. Can I actually do it? You climb it and you prove something to yourself, and it gives you a boost of confidence, and that's great. There was another side to this that I actually realized after we did it that I didn't catch, and it's more of an emotional motivator. So when I was growing up, I was kind of that kid who would get disciplined or called out for being distracted, couldn't really kind of follow any path to completion. I just could not focus. I would just, and it's kind of what led me to the creative field, because it's in creativity, it works to your benefit when you're sitting there in front of a screen and your mind is just firing. You're just like, let's do this, or let's do that, or let's do this, or let's do that. And, but when you're planning, when you're actually trying to follow a path, it's insanely difficult. And frankly, it can be depressing, because you get to the end of your day and you were in the weeds the majority of the day. You may have felt this is why I did it. You felt like you were busy, and you may have checked off some boxes, but you get to the end of your week and you're like, I checked off some boxes, but I don't know if I actually went anywhere. And so when we came up with Daily Grit, I realized, okay, so we're in the planner category. There's a lot of planners. And I realized that what makes this unique and the problem it solves for myself is actually, it speaks more to distractive tendencies than it does just being a planning tool. If you're someone who gets in the weeds and you're like, oh, this or oh, that, or I my mind is just all over the place. The whole reason I did this, frankly, was so that I didn't have to take medicine. I just drew a straight line to an outcome. That's all I did. And it's been such a gift to me. And it's not even Daily Grit. Frankly, there's a lot of tools that I think do this. The truth is, I just struggle with focus. It's very hard for me. And I'm just looking for things that are not stimulants that can drive focus, because it's hard.
Well, back to this idea of finding what you're truly capable of. I think one of the things you've uncovered through here, and what I'm hearing, is that there are a lot of different journaling or planning types of strategies and systems and all sorts of things people can follow. But what I think what you stumbled on is, if you made one for yourself, right? You know yourself pretty well, and certainly if you're inviting the input of somebody else into that process, you get some additional clarity. So you developed something that worked for you. And there are so many people out in among the 7.5 or 8 billion people on the planet that are like you. They're similar to you, And so what you may have discovered then is that when you brought your full self to this and you were, you're solving your own problem, you also solved a bunch of people's problems that they were searching for as well. They found a solution because they have mindsets similar to yours.
Well, I can tell you that, there's a lot of imposter syndrome with creating anything. I've learned in this process the courage it takes to put anything out there, because intent gets questioned. The truth is I don't know a lot about ADD. I don't know a lot about ADHD, but I do have real world experience with the challenges of it. I do know what it's like to end a week with, thinking, wow, it's Friday and I don't know if I actually did anything, or, getting to, or going through spending, hundreds of thousands of dollars, not hundreds of thousands, but hundreds of dollars on medication only to have, it's more time than we have, but suffice it to say that I've been down a long road with that, only to realize it doesn't work, and thinking that I have, like other creatives, a desire to be efficient, but it's very difficult. It is truly difficult. And if you want a stimulant-free, pharmaceutical-free approach, they're out there, but it's I say it's not hard to find, but let's just say it's a hard thing to conquer.
Well, I tell you what, Chris, you said you're creative. You're a designer. Is that true?
I try to be, yeah.
Okay. And you also talked about being vulnerable. And so I'm going to put you on the spot here. Do you want to play a game with me?
Of course. I love playing games. I don't take myself too seriously. I love sharing.
Good. All right. Well, I'm not a designer, but I'm going to try and beat you at this game. And so as we wind down our time here, and I know we're a little bit over what I told you, so I hope you're good on this time.
I'm good.
We're going to play the game Whatchamadraw It.
Oh.
Now here's how this game's going to work. I'm going to put a. Oh no! Stop! Oh no! Stop! Failure.
I didn't see anything. I saw nothing.
Ah! Okay.
I saw nothing.
Here we go. There we go. So here's what's going to happen. On the screen is going to display a what's that called? A phrase. I'm sorry.
Words are hard, man. Words are hard.
Man, words are especially hard right now. There's going to be a phrase that's displays on the screen. So this is just an example. We're not going to do this one. Draw a frog sitting in a canoe headed for a waterfall. You're going to have 1 minute to draw that.
Oh, geez.
Okay.
Oh, geez.
I know. And then you're going to try and beat me, because at the end of our minute, we're going to show the screen our drawings, and we're going to vote, and then we're going to allow other people to vote as well.
Oh, dude.
For who wins.
I'm so much better with Photoshop.
Well, get out pen and paper.
I got it.
And use your fingers. You ready for this?
Okay, let's do it.
We have 3 of these, so good luck. Here's our first one. Draw a dragon playing with a piece of string.
Oh, dude.
You have 1 minute.
Oh, bro. Oh, he would put me on the spot. Oh shoot! What is a dragon? Oh, bro.
Oh boy, I don't know how. I don't know this or not.
You should not judge me on this. You're going to, though. It's okay. Oh, dude.
I feel like I've done better before. Doing pretty poorly.
Oh, dude. I think
3, 2, 1.
All right. Hang on. This was bad. This was all sorts of bad.
I think mine was terrible too.
Oh boy.
You ready for this? Let's see yours.
Okay. I'm gonna put. How do I do this? I'm gonna put myself over here. Bow.
Oh.
Okay. So
You're
That's
you're
a
down to
terrible.
what's-
That's a bad dragon. I know. I'm not a. I didn't say I could draw.
Wait, is he
I was
playing?
creative.
He's playing a what though?
That's a ball. That's a ball of string rather, and he's going to. He's thinking about breathing his fire onto it to burn it up.
I was like, you have to infer a thought. All right, you ready for this? This is not.
bring
I'm
it.
not.
Bring
I'm
the
not proud. I'm not proud of this. Wait, can you see it?
So that is so small.
Wait, I can't tell. Oh wait, hold on. I'm not a sketch.
Oh,
Can
I
you
feel
see
like
it?
he's playing the harp. Is he playing the harp?
I thought that's what it said. Did it not say that?
He's playing with a piece of string.
Oh well, hey, that's string on.
He's not playing the string.
Hey man, I misunderstood. That was fun though. I actually don't do this enough. Let's do another one. That was actually really fun. I actually, believe it or not, I just got an iPad Pro with a pencil so I could actually sketch more because I'm so used to doing digital stuff.
Oh yeah.
Let's do
Right.
another. Let's do another one.
Okay, here we go. Here's the next one.
Oh, dude.
Draw your best friend upside down.
Okay.
Can you hear the music?
No,
You can't hear the music?
I can't. Oh, dude.
Oh, I gotta figure this out.
Best friend upside down. What in the world?
There we go. Now you can hear the music.
This is actually. Oh, dude. Oh.
30 seconds.
30 already? 30 seconds?
Oh, here we go. Oh my god, this is terrible.
I'm trying to like my best friend. I'm actually gonna text him this after I do this. Like, dude, this is the best rendition of you ever.
2, 1.
Wow, I am awful at this.
Okay, well, I went first last time, so you got to go first this time.
All right,
What'd
here
you
we go. You ready? Wait, hold on.
Oh, he plays the guitar,
Yeah.
or is that the mandolin? I don't know.
It's actually a ukulele. It's just a little.
Good. I like that. That's really good.
All right, let's see yours.
I'm going to be vulnerable.
Yeah. Oh,
Dog upside down.
I like it. That's creative. What now? Let me guess the breed though. Hold on, I gotta see it though. Oh, let's see. I'm going
You're
with
optimistic about this.
collie?
It's like a Chihuahua mix.
I was way off. I was like way off.
All right, third one here.
All right.
Draw an animal with an alligator head, a pig body, and monkey feet.
Oh my gosh, man. Monkey feet. Monkey feet.
Make sure it's an alligator, not a crocodile. Kidding. I don't even know this.
I was like, wait. Okay, wait. So that's
Pig body.
what? Oh wait, Alec. Oh wait. Okay.
30 seconds.
Hold on.
Alligator head, pig body, monkey feet.
How fat? How fat are? Let's see here.
Ten seconds.
Make sure you get the opposable thumb. That's what makes monkeys.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh wait, hold on. I gotta add that detail in
Oh
here.
shoot! Ooh.
Wait, is it alligator?
Right.
Wait, alligator head, pig body, monkey feet. Okay, I assumed on the tail. Is that fair? They didn't specify on the tail.
They didn't specify the tail, no, and they also didn't talk about monkey hands, which I got to thinking in the middle of it
Oh, yeah.
if I should have drawn hands or not.
That's fair
I'll-
because an alligator is all four on the ground versus a monkey can walk. Yeah, it's so many assumptions.
So many assumptions. Here's what I.
Oh, yours is way better. Although that's a big pig.
That's a big pig, and
I think your
he's
feet
got an amputated arm.
Your feet are far more accurate than mine are. Hold on, let me show you mine. You ready for this? Dude, I think you have highlighted a need for me to invest in my sketching skills.
Yeah,
Wow,
I'm into this, but
that was an awakening.
I do think that my pig was better than your pig because he was at least bulbous.
Yes, I thought the form was far more accurate than mine was. Mine was a little amorphous and probably untrue to the pig. I think I may have offended pigs everywhere.
Untrue to the pig.
Untrue to the true form of a pig.
That's I feel like that should be like a band. It's like a band name. Untrue to the pig.
Hey man, there's a lot of creative band names out there too. That one's available for free. Seriously, that's a gift.
Untrue to the pig.
Untrue. Welcome to the stage.
Untrue to the
pig. You see like crowds. Oh man. And now if I see that like sometime in the future, I'm gonna feel really proud of that one.
It all started here on Coffee with Humans. Untrue to the pig.
I remember a time.
There was that time before it was a thing.
You're welcome.
Well, we are visionaries apparently on Coffee with Humans, predicting the future of a band called Untrue to the Pig.
Yep.
Which is what I'm not sure. Did we find out what we're capable of? Did we at least move the ball down the field in this idea of what we're capable of during this discussion? What do you think?
I found out what I'm not capable of, which is I need some help on sketching. Apparently. No, I think capabilities. It's just a journey, man. I mean, it's. I will say, just even having the awareness of finding out, and the willingness to discover is important. I think limiting beliefs. I'll probably leave it on that note. Find out what your limiting beliefs are.
Good point, man. Well, this has been Coffee with Humans, where strangers become friends through candid conversation. I met Chris a little over an hour ago.
And now we're best friends.
For the first time ever, and now we're best friends. He drew me upside down.
Yeah.
I drew him upside down too.
And it was the best I've ever seen.
Yep.
Yep. You have a future in art, my friend.
Well, Chris, buddy, thank you for joining me on Coffee with Humans. I really appreciate it. And I'm glad that you survived the storms down in Nashville and that you also survived COVID.
Right.
That's good news.
Win for everybody.
All right. Well, this has been Coffee with Humans. Again, candid conversation between strangers who become friends. Catch us live on YouTube and Facebook and other places. And we'll catch you next time. Thanks for joining us.
Bye, everybody.
One of the things I love about Coffee with Humans are the raw conversations I get to have, meeting new people just like you. If you or someone you know should be on Coffee with Humans, go to coffeewithhumans.com. Remember, the only rule is no sales calls.
This has been Coffee with Humans. Subscribe to get updates or click to have coffee with me. coffeewithhumans.com.